Hello, hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the Five Talents podcast. We are super excited today because we have another amazing guest that's going to really help demystify and illuminate a path for 1031s, deferring taxes, which is just an amazing vehicle, amazing way that people can create wealth and then preserve wealth as well. So, Mr. Michael Brady, Michael, thanks for joining. So let's start, deferred exchange, 1031. Let's go at the basics. What
Yeah.
is deferred exchange and what is a 1031?
Yeah. So when you own really any type of asset, right? When you sell it, if it has appreciated in value, that appreciation or profit is subject to taxes. Okay. And nobody wants to pay taxes, right? And so if you're a real property owner, those taxes you do get a preferential tax rate. You get, if you own the property for over a year, your tax rate is lower than it would be if it was less than a year, and probably lower in many cases than what you pay on your earned income from working a job. Typically the rates are between 15 and 20% federal. Sometimes there's a 3.8% net investment income tax, depending on your income tax level. Your income level, and you pay state and local income taxes also. I happen to be in the state of New York. We have a pretty high income tax rate here. And the city of New York, which is not too far away from me where I live on Long Island, they also have an income tax rate. So when you sell property, depending where you're located, you may be giving up about a third or more of your profit to various levels of government. Okay. Yeah. And so it takes, it takes a lot of the bread out of the basket, as you might say. So
yeah, whether you're making $100,000 profit, that's 33 grand, or you're making $1,333,000 or 10 million. Nobody wants to give away a third,
yeah,
no matter what size.
And so what this allows you to do is basically through a 1031 exchange, if you buy other property, and I should back up and say this only applies to, and the statute defines it as property held for productive use in a trade or business or for investment, right? So it's not your primary residence that you live in. It could be a vacation home if the use of the vacation home or second home is predominantly rental and you're just there maybe 1 or 2 weeks out of each year.
Airbnb works, but probably not your second house. That's just your primary residence.
If you're in Florida, I'm in New York, as I said, and it's snowing today for like the fourth time in 2 months, right? So if you're a Florida snowbird, you went down to Florida to get away from the snow and you're there 6 months out of the year, 1031 exchange is not going to work for you. Okay. But if you're, like I said, if you're a person that goes down to Florida a week or two a year, rents it out the rest of the time, or house out in the Hamptons where maybe you go during the off season in the spring or fall, and then you rent it out for, if it's in the Hamptons, you could rent it out for several $100,000 for the summer, the property could qualify. So it's property held for productive use in trade, business, or for investment.
Got it.
So if you're selling that type of property, you can defer the gain by buying a like kind property, meaning another property that's also held for productive use for trade, business, or for investment. And when we say like kind, it doesn't mean exactly the same. So you don't have to sell a residential rental property and buy a residential rental property. You can sell that residential rental property. You can go buy an office building, or you could go buy a self-storage facility. Or you could buy, a factory, or even vacant land. As long as it's, yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. The rough thing I always hear, and tell me if this is right or wrong, I always hear you just have to buy something bigger than what you bought before. Is there truth to that? Is that how it works? Or
well, the way it works is, so if you want to fully defer your taxes, there's 2 general rules. And people get hung up on, well, do I have to match the debt? Do I have to match the debt? Well, really the way it works is you have to do 2 things. You have to buy a property that's equal or greater in value to the one that you sold, and you need to spend all of the proceeds from the sale. Okay. If you do those 2 things, you'll fully defer your taxes.
That's awesome.
Okay. But it's not an all or nothing proposition. So if you sold for $1 million and you bought an $800,000 property, you may wind up paying taxes on up to $200,000 less whatever your closing costs were.
Okay. Got it.
So it's not all or nothing.